The story for today's photo shoot and video is I had to come up to the part of Spain where I used to live, and I had to find a way to entertain myself for 2 or 3 hours. Obviously that was going to involve some photography, but the big question was where to go. I would have loved to have done one of the old hikes that I used to do, but it's early August, very hot, and that kind of physical exertion is probably not the smartest thing to do. Anywhere too close to the coast is going to be packed with people, so I decided to take a little drive up to a place called Aguas de Busot and photograph this place, the Preventorio. I think there's going to be some black and whites involved today. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Okay, let's do a quick bit of background then. This place was constructed in the 19th century. Although I think this building was late 19th century. There was a hotel here from the early 19th century, built to take advantage of some nearby natural hot springs. In, I think, 1936, it was taken over by the government and became a Preventorio, which is basically a hospital for children with tuberculosis, although I think it might actually be more to try to prevent them getting tuberculosis. And I think it stayed that way till, I don't know, around about 1940, something like that, when it was felt that tuberculosis was sufficiently wiped out that the Preventorios were no longer required. Since then it's been abandoned. It's clearly been subject to graffiti and other unpleasantness, but nevertheless it's still an interesting place, and yes, according to some people it is supposed to be haunted. I haven't been up here for a few years, and it looks like there's some new fencing up, presumably to stop people from getting inside, because I think it has become quite dangerous. In fact, it's possible, I did hear that somebody was either badly hurt or maybe even killed inside when one of the floors collapsed. I wasn't planning on going inside anyway, but I am interested to see what kind of images I might be able to get from outside. Hopefully trying to capture a bit of the mood of the place, which kind of makes me think of the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. And it has been fenced in, but there's a gate here that's been presumably broken open. So I'm not going to go into the building, but I am going to go into the grounds a little bit. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure I'm really supposed to be in here, because that gate does look like it's been broken open. Probably by people coming to either have illicit parties or add to the already quite plentiful graffiti defacing the place. I just don't get the whole graffiti mentality myself. These palm trees here have been burnt. The question is that because people have set them on fire, or is it from lightning strikes? But there's quite a lot of them that have been burnt. They're all blackened and ashy. I did want to get to this bit. There's an old water tower here, and the brick building that obviously it sits on has actually now got additional braces of they're like I-beams that have been bolted to it and sunk into the ground, presumably to stop it from falling down. But it makes for an interesting structure, so I'm going to try and do some kind of image of it. I'm probably going to chop off the bottom, because that's where the graffiti is, and I don't really want the graffiti in there. But I think it's time to get the camera out and see what we can do. I've got the 12 to 100 lens on here because I do feel that that's going to be the most useful walking around here, although I do have my other lenses with me as well. One of the reasons why I said I'd probably do a lot of stuff in black and white is the graffiti is going to look a lot less in your face, I guess, in black and white than it is in colour. Another reason why I'm almost certainly favouring black and white here is it's mid-afternoon, bright, harsh sunlight, clear blue skies. But this is a subject that's going to benefit from looking kind of dark and moody, and that's actually really hard to achieve in colour in these conditions. But in black and white, you can get a bit more aggressive with contrast, pick out some of the brighter areas a bit more, and it can actually look quite good. Not necessarily, but it can do. And that's what I'm hoping. I'd like to get a view kind of the whole thing. I did take one in there looking along the scene, but I'd like to get a view of the whole thing. But there's these three palm trees that kind of get in the way a bit, and I've been looking to see if I can find an angle. These three kind of there, you see they block off part of the building and the water tower, and what I'd like to find is an angle that I can put them to one side, but at the moment I just cannot find one. So I remembered that when I did this place before, I actually came down quite a long way off and managed to get quite an interesting viewpoint on the Preventorio. So I've decided to walk down here. Could have driven down in the car, I suppose, but I decided to walk down. But honestly, I think it's now too overgrown. I think the trees have grown so much since the last time I was here that I don't think the view exists anymore. It kind of does, but lovely old fruit tree though. Okay, there is kind of a view up there that looks quite interesting. And the trees create a nice frame around it. My first thought was to zoom right in on the Preventorio and capture it, blocking out a lot of the foreground, really, you know, making it large in the frame. And I think I'm going to do that, but I'm also thinking maybe a slightly wider shot with this road in front of me going down towards it might work as well. Sometimes it's easier to use the viewfinder than it is to use the screen in bright light. In case anyone was wondering why. I don't think I can resist doing something with this fruit tree. It's going to be focusing on the beautiful shape of the gnarled trunk and branches with just a bit of the green and some of the light coming through, because it means I can avoid having any of the more distracting stuff coming in. Putting the trunk right in the middle. Sometimes when the big scene is exhausted, and I think I've done all of the sort of like big building shots that I want, or that's possible, sometimes it's nice to just focus in on some details, like some of these broken window shutters. There's kind of a story there, the old weathered wood, the broken panels. And there's one here which is free of graffiti, so it should be possible to do a shot of it, probably vertical. Yeah, I think we'll go vertical. And the important thing is to try and get it nice and level. And that could look quite interesting. Just a bit of detail. There's a load of windows, arched windows through there letting light in. The whole scene is graffitied, which isn't ideal, but it might work as a kind of high contrast scene. Earlier I was looking for a scene to fit the whole thing in fairly close up, and these old palm trees, I got it right this time, palm trees, seem to be in the way wherever I go. Even this view isn't working because I can get the palm trees spaced out enough to show the water tower, but then they're right in front of the building. If I move across so that they're not in front of the building, the water tower disappears, and I really feel that adds something to the scene. Let's just try from over here and do it without the water tower and see what happens. I can't quite fit the whole scene in from here. I don't think. This is as far back as I can get, and it's not quite fitting in. Now, two choices. I can put my wider angle lens on, the 8mm or 8 to 25, which would give me a little bit extra width, or I could shoot it as a mini pano. And for the sake of what I'm doing here, I think I'm going to go for the mini pano option. In fact, I'm going to go for a proper pano option, in which case I'm going to need to move you, because otherwise you'll end up in the shot. Handheld panos are not that difficult to do, so long as you're careful to try and keep things nice and level. And as long as you check before you start that your exposure is going to be all okay all the way across the scene, and this one is. So I'm going to shoot this at, probably about 18mm. Yeah. I'm going to mark my start position with my finger, and away we go. I think I've done about as much here as I can usefully do, especially in this heat. I'm in the car now to get the air conditioning on to try and cool down a little bit, and I think I'm going to call this the end of the video. Probably a lot of black and white in this one, and hopefully some explanations on why. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. And if you're new here and you've enjoyed this, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Thank you very much for watching. Until next week, bye.